Will do.
Welcome to the University of Missouri Extension Workforce Rally webinar series. This is the last session of our Workforce Rally, and I have been so excited since we had the pleasure of working with ACT Work Ready Communities to work with them on hosting the final session. Our session today is ACT Work Ready Communities Rock Stars, and we all have understood and have heard the benefit of what ACT Work Ready Communities does for your community, economic development, and the workforce. And today we get to hear examples of businesses and individuals who are using the Work Ready Communities in a variety of different ways. And I've been really excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to Sherry to introduce the speakers. Thank you all for being with us today.
Okay, thank you so much, Amy. And I will echo everything you said. It's very exciting to have this final webinar, and who knows, down the line we might have some additional ones, hopefully. But today I'm very excited about this one, especially because it's always great to hear from those who are, we can talk all day long about work ready communities and what it is and why communities should join and how it can benefit. But when you're hearing from the ones actually doing the work, it means so much more. It's very powerful. We have 4 excellent speakers today to share their stories. We have Julie Rogers, who's the Executive Director with Lincoln County Economic Development, and Brian Herrick, Director of Business and Workforce Development at Jefferson College. Nancy Wiley, who is the Grant Manager at State Technical College of Missouri, and Debbie May, who is the HR Director, Riverbend Casino and Hotel. And Debbie was formerly with Owens Corning out of Joplin, and an employer that supports the NCRC, and they were very partnered very well with Jason Jones and Rob down there in Jasper County when they were becoming an ACT certified work ready community. So excited to first bring on, if I can get my controls to work. Stuck. We're going to have Julie talk first, and Julie, I'll go ahead and you can get control of the slides, and then you can just slide through these at your pace. I don't think I have to do anything.
All right, let's see if we have this. There we go. Okay, I'm Julie Rogers, Executive Director for Lincoln County Economic Development Office. Thanks, Sherry, for inviting me to participate. We are very excited when we received our certification to be a certified county. It meant a lot to us. We see the value. And today I'm going to talk specifically in one ways that we are using the ACT Work Keys exam in Lincoln County. We have a very aggressive workforce development reentry program in Lincoln County, which is very unique. And it actually kind of started because of the ACT Work Keys exam. First of all, I just want to show you, we have a tremendous amount of partners in our reentry program that we work with. And ACT Work Keys is just one of those partners that we incorporate into our program. As you can see, it's a very large collaboration of people with the Sheriff's Department, myself, Probation and Parole, State Tech, Nancy Wiley, just a whole bunch of people. Lincoln County, like I said, we became certified in March 2018. We are now at 86% of our maintaining goal. We're going to be working on that. We have been working on that, and expect we'll probably get that accomplished hopefully very soon. One piece of that is we have to do additional tests. And as you see, we are still lagging in our transitioning, which is our unemployed population. Which is where we initially were struggling to get our certification, is because we couldn't hit that number. At the time, the changes that went from the unemployment rate when we first received our numbers to when we were trying to accomplish it had changed drastically. And actually Nancy Wiley was State Tech, and I had a conversation, we had met, and she was telling me that they were offering the work keys at one of the prisons. So I asked her at that time, is it something they could do in the county jail? And she says, absolutely. I said, let me call the sheriff. So we called John, Sheriff Cottle, and he says, absolutely, let's do that. When we kind of look at our stats and our certificates, and this will play into a little bit, I'm always amazed when I look at that unemployed number of tests that were given, and we look at the number of platinums. And to see that we had 7 platinum test takers that were unemployed, to me was astounding. And we knew a large portion of that were going to be people either with a record or that were currently incarcerated. So we knew that, and that all leads back to this. So 2017, when I met Nancy, we talked about that. We went into the county jail. And the county jail, we have about 200 inmates. About 50% of the population is local inmates, the other federal that we house. So we wanted to test local inmates. So we put an interest out there to see if anybody would like to take the test. We had a resounding yes. Everybody was very interested. They saw the value of it. They all know that they have challenges when they leave the jail for getting jobs, and anything that they can have to give them a step up is a bonus. So we, in 2017, tested 94 inmates for that first go around that we did. 76% of them passed the exam, 34% bronze, 44 silver, 22 golds, and we had a platinum. And when we received these scores back, these levels, and saw what we had, the sheriff and I sat down and we said, you know, we really have something here. Obviously, we have a skilled workforce, and this is telling us this. So not only do they have these certificates to walk out there, but we need to take and look at a deeper dive on how we can take the skilled workforce that's here and provide them maybe some additional skills and training, and provide them to those employers that we need, that are looking for employees. So at that time, we connected with Connections to Success, who were going into the prisons and doing work-ready training, a 60-hour professional and personal development class. They're preparing people for jobs for after prison, for after jail. And a first class that we started here, we worked with the probation and parole office. We had about 10 to 15 participants. This was, I think, the second class that we did. We're back with Nancy Wiley again. Part of this class, Nancy Wiley brought the trailer for State Tech out, and the class was able to view the trailer, and they were able to talk about the program that they could offer. Part of that, though, was for them to receive entrance into this maintenance technical problem. They had to have a silver, at least. They had to take the ACT Work Keys exam and get a silver on that. After the class was finished, we had 5 of the 10 that decided they'd like to pursue that. So they sat down with Janet Kramer and took the Work Keys exam. Of the 5, 3 of them had a silver or higher and went on to go ahead and do the program there with State Tech for some additional training. 2 of them decided to go back for some remediation. So as we're talking about these things and building this program, we decided we really needed to kind of ramp up the whole idea instead of kind of just do this random training. So we've developed what we call a Building Futures Workforce Development Program through the jail or through probation and parole. It's all very interconnected. But the launch point for everything that we do is this NCRC Work Keys exam. Every time we sit down with the group or program they want to come in, we really reiterate that we think, if nothing else, because in a jail, sometimes the population, we don't know how long they're going to be there. So everything we want to do, we want to be able to get very quickly to them. So if somebody's only there for a few days, at least we can get them their Work Keys exam. If they're going to be there a little longer, then we'll launch into Connections program. All this can lead into some very long-term training programs. We're partnering with the Carpenters Union, the Building Trades program. It's a pre-apprenticeship program. Working with Missouri State Tech again. We're working with St. Charles Community College on a fiber technician program. But all these programs also require the ACT Work Keys. So for us to go ahead and offer that right off the bat, it's already taken care of. The good thing with these programs is that if they are in jail and they start them, we've worked it out where they can continue these programs after they're out of incarceration if they're through probation and parole. So they don't lose anything. But if they're able to get out and find a job, at least they have that Work Keys exam. They maybe have that Connections to Success class. So we took it a little step further. The sheriff decided that instead of trying to always find space in the jail, that we would build a training center. So this is the Lincoln County Building Futures Inmate Training Center. It is the first of its kind in Missouri. There is no other county jail that has a dedicated training center at its location. This was built by volunteer inmate labor. When the Carpenters Union came out to talk to us about their program and they looked at the work done, they were very impressed and they immediately jumped on board with that. So they saw the great value. Since all this has happened, the county commissioners have seen the value in the program because we probably have a 70% job placement rate with anybody that has been going through these programs, whether it's WorkKeys, connections, all of that combined. So they've seen a real value. They've allowed me to hire somebody part-time in to help that is now dedicated to this. She's a retired school superintendent, so that's perfect. She is going to take on a lot of the WorkKeys program. She's going to become a proctor so she can offer the test at will. And then she is also going to go in the jail or through the probation and parole office and offer remediation. So we're very excited. We've had great success, but at the end of it, everything we always go back to is it all needs to start with that WorkKeys, with that certificate. It gives us an idea of where somebody is, whether they need remediation or it's just a great launching point. It's just a great tool in their toolbox as they already have barriers to employment. We know everything we can do helps that. So that's pretty much all a very synopsis of what we're doing. So Sherry, back to you.
That's very exciting. See, I even learned some stuff today, Julie. I had no idea some of the things you guys were doing and very impressive. I think I have, there we go. I have control back.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
For the materials for that training building, were those donated or did you raise funds for those?
So in the jail, they have a commissary that they manage themselves. They've switched it over where they actually buy the stuff and instead of going through a thing. So there's money that is made off of that, and that goes into what they call the inmate training fund. And those funds have to be used somehow for the betterment of the inmates. So training, additional training, skills training, education is included in that. So we use those funds. So no tax dollars were used. It was the inmate and benefits the inmates. So
what an amazing project. I have chills up and down my spine. That is just great.
We're pretty proud of it.
Yeah, very impressive. And equally impressive is our next speaker, Brian Herrick, who I've had the pleasure of working with Brian for a number of years, not just through our work with ACT, but prior to that when I was with DED. And we're always, God love him, we're always asking him to speak on things and be best practice speakers, but it's because they're doing such great things there at Jefferson College, and not just with WorkKeys and Work Ready Communities, but with other partnerships with employers specifically and training programs. So Brian, you can take it away from here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And, you know, like Julie said, really WorkKeys is all about helping that individual person, also our employers, our school districts, our colleges, our communities. And so that'll be my presentation here today. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So becoming an ACT Workforce Champion. Had the opportunity to receive the State of Missouri Workforce Champion Award. And I was asked to do a presentation at MCCA, during the College Association. So this presentation is built upon that. And I think for all of our certified work ready community initiatives, there has to be a champion, one or two or three people that have a passion for the mission and an advocate for WorkKeys, because it really does a great job of transforming individual lives, can strengthen an employer's workforce, and build stronger communities. So some of the basic core components of the WorkKeys system most people are aware of. And the reason why I looked at it from the standpoint of when our story started back in the mid-1990s, really, is that I was looking for an entire assessment, curriculum, skill enhancement system for our career and technical education students. And WorkKeys really at that time, and it is now, the best system really in our country to provide those services. So as we look at the story of Jefferson College, I started off as chair of our Student Outcomes Assessment Committee and basically charged with improving student outcomes, assessing those student skills as they would graduate from the college to ensure that our curriculum, our programs did a really good job of preparing people for the workforce. So obviously every educational institution says, yes, we do a great job. My daughter just graduated with her doctorate in physical therapy at the University of Missouri, and every one of her classmates so far has passed the state board exam. Well, that's a great evidence that that program is outstanding. Well, I wanted the same thing for Jefferson College. And so at the time, we had a lot of our CTE students who would go in and basically just bubble in anything on their exit exam and not really take it seriously. Our faculty couldn't use the data. And so I did some research and found WorkKeys. And so I asked our vice president of instruction at the time, let's implement this as an exit exam. Make a long story short, we put it to vote for all of our employers, for all of our CT advisory committees. So everything from healthcare to manufacturing to welding, automotive technology. And literally it was a unanimous vote. Every single employer said, yes, let's adopt it. We did. And so from that point forward, every one of our graduates took the WorkKeys as an exit exam. And this is way before we implemented it in the state of Missouri, before the job centers, before Certified Work Ready initiative was really implemented. And so we used it to improve curriculum. And the key thing for us as a college is we go through accreditation. And so literally from the first accreditation visit where assessment, institutional assessment is a critical component, we had people on our accreditation team ask us, how we did it. It was cited as a best practice in our accreditation review. And for the last 3 accreditation reviews, it's been a best practice at the college. The great thing about it is it aligns, obviously, student skills with employer expectation and benchmarks. And I'll get into the job profiling process here in a few minutes. So that was the start of our story. And then we implemented WorkKeys in terms of working with employers. And so I became an authorized job profiler. I conducted 70 plus job profiles throughout the St. Louis region and the state of Missouri and even outside of Missouri at times. And so with that, really gave insight in terms of what employers were looking for in terms of those benchmark skills, but also the value of job profiling to align educational curriculum to make sure that students have the skills that employers need for being successful in the workforce. And so I was able to participate in a large-scale DED project at the time, CG Power Systems, now it's WG Transformers, located in Washington, Missouri. And basically, they were looking at a variety of locations across really globally to put their new plant. And so we were competing with other states, obviously, from an economic development standpoint. And the one question they had about Missouri, and specifically Franklin County and Washington, was, do you have the skilled labor force to meet our needs? That was the biggest question. And so I did a presentation for them, their union, all their leadership in terms of WorkKeys, and they all bought in, they invested in it, and Missouri won that award. So the plant expansion effort included 100 and some odd new jobs, high-paying jobs. We profiled 17 different occupational areas. And when the project was done, the company was thrilled in terms of hiring the best candidates. Their turnover rate was, I think, 1% or below. Their productivity skyrocketed. It was just a best practice really nationally. And I was asked to create an ACT case study for this initiative, and it did receive the Governor's Award of Training Innovation for the state of Missouri. So that was around 2000 was our key element in embracing the workforce in terms of employers, getting them on board, and then launching WorkKeys on a large scale initiative, working with employers. And then throughout the time frame here, we worked with our local job centers. I mean, I think I was one of the first people to actually, I think I wrote a grant. I actually brought computers into the Arnold and Washington Job Center. We installed the WorkKey software, which at that time was you had to do the install, and we started testing people using WorkKeys in the job centers. And this is before really the state of Missouri was even on board with it, and so we saw it as a value-added benefit to job seekers, especially with the job profiling and getting so many employers engaged that they could actually transition to a better opportunity for employment. We also implemented in adult education at the college, and then also throughout all of our WIOA initiatives in terms of our fast track job training programs, in addition to our area technical school, which served about 12 school districts in Jefferson County. And so we implemented that in 2011 so that all of our students would have the WorkKeys. And then around 2011, Julie Gibson was forming a leadership team to basically apply to ACT to be one of the first states to participate in the Leadership Academy. And so we worked on that application, and Missouri was selected, along with several other states, to be the first states to go through this Leadership Academy. And it was really, I think, a pinnacle in terms of my professional career to participate in that. So we really learned about the Certified Work Ready initiative from the beginning stages of it in terms of data collection and the significance of it from economic development standpoint. And it was just an amazing experience. And so at that point in time, I worked with our local leadership council to create a Jefferson County Certified Work Ready leadership team, which we put in place. And it's a variety of people like everyone else is working with in terms of EDC, Jefferson County Growth Association, superintendent, school district, individuals. We've got employers at the table, our workforce development board, teachers, educators, superintendents, things along that line. So we implemented that. And then we worked really hard in literally, part of it is in terms of employer engagement at the time, I literally went door to door to, I think, 150 employers, talking with them about a 5-minute elevator speech about the benefit of supporting our Certified Work Ready initiative. And we were able to get a lot of letters of support by doing that. And then Jefferson County we were in competition with Jason Jones and Jasper County, but they won, and they should have, being the first Certified Work Ready community in the state of Missouri, but we were close. I believe second, maybe even third or something like that, but the largest county in the state of Missouri at that time and one of the largest in the country at the time. So, so that was really exciting from that standpoint. And there's a lot that went into that, obviously, and we continue. Really, I think the key takeaway for me is that building an entire system that allows communities to be certified, but then recertified on an ongoing basis. And part of that was we built WorkKeys into all of our fast track job training programs, which right now in the new initiative, Recover Missouri, which has really been launched as of May 18th here. WorkKeys is an essential component of all of our fast track programs, giving people an opportunity to get assessed, strengthen their skills, help them so they can be successful in the job training programs and obviously be successful in terms of securing employment. We've also built WorkKeys into all of our customized apprenticeship programs and our pre-apprenticeship programs, similar to Julie's presentation, which was very impressive. We built something called the Construction and Mechanical Occupations Training Academy, the CAMO program, which is a pre-apprenticeship program in partnership with 9 area school districts and all the skilled trades, about 15 different employers in Jefferson County, supporting individuals in a career navigation program in manufacturing and construction trades. And part of that is we built WorkKeys into our program, assessing everyone and then building in the curriculum as part of their skill development. But also we piloted something that I think is really great in that we awarded obviously the NCRC and then Jefferson College certificates of completion, but we also ordered medals, medallions, almost like you would get from winning first place in a track meet. And so we created a bronze, silver, gold, platinum, obviously not real medal, but simulated medallions, along that line. And we awarded them to each of the graduates, when they completed the CAMO program. And I mean, they thought this was amazing. For a lot of these individuals, it was the first award like this they ever received. And so after that, we had even students who obtained a silver level medal saying, how can I get a gold level? And it's like, well, you got to do some work in the WorkKeys curriculum, and they would do it on their own outside of the program and then achieve the gold level. So to me, this is a best practice, K through 12, working with high school students especially, and we're implementing that in our area technical school, hopefully here in the near future. So we've implemented an apprenticeship, and then also we did a large-scale initiative in partnership with NIMS, looking at how do we increase pass rates. And the NIMS is basically, it's a certifying entity in manufacturing, looking at how do we build people's skills so that they have a better chance at passing the NIMS credentials. And so what WorkKeys can do for educators also is help us prepare our students so they can pass the ASE certifications in automotive tech, or help in healthcare pass state board exams, or with NIMS help them pass these higher certifications. And so there's a whole curriculum alignment project we did with some of the PhD level INO psychologists at ACT, aligning our curriculum with the NIMS assessments. And then we worked hard in 2018 and 19 to get recertified. So we've been recertified as a county. And then in 2019, level 2 certification, and we're working really on our 4th level certification, or level 3 at this point in time. And I think part of that is because we've been able to build a self-sustaining system that every few years populates the number of assessments and allows us to then continue to engage employers so that we can maintain certification. And then obviously in Missouri, they've moved over the Department of Workforce Development under the Department of Higher Ed. So there's a lot of great initiatives implementing WorkKeys across the state of Missouri. This is just a one-page diagram just for our manufacturing sector that shows just our approach in each of our sectors, so healthcare and other areas. But for manufacturing, just looking at this as an integrated approach that ties in employers with our workforce development board, job centers, our certified work ready council, our area technical school and area high schools, and then all of our educational entities at the college, as it all ties in terms of an ecosystem in Jefferson County to support our certified work ready initiative. For us, WorkKeys equals opportunity, and especially the heart and soul of WorkKeys, I believe, is the opportunity for the individual. Just like Julie's presentation, which is inspiring, I just want to share a story in that I was doing a job profile with a company, and one of our subject matter experts, we were talking, and I asked him, I said, have you taken the WorkKeys assessment? And he said, yeah, I did take it. I said, well, what'd you get on it? He goes, oh, I don't know. He goes, I got like a 7 in the reading part of it, and he goes, I got a 7 in, graphic literacy at that time was a 7 in that, and then a 7 in applied math. And I said, you mean you have obtained a platinum credential along that line? He goes, oh, is that important? I'm like, yeah, obviously, that's the top level of certification you can achieve in terms of WorkKeys, and ties in terms of our state of work ready communities. Very few people have a platinum level. And so he said, well, I asked him, I said, hey, did you graduate high school or you're in college? He goes, actually, I kind of dropped out of high school. There wasn't enough hands-on learning for me. And his position that I was profiling was a gluer. That was the name of the position for this company. And literally that's what it was. It was an industrial gluer of molds, to where head to toe covered in glue all day long, gluing molds together. And I said, you really need to look at investing in yourself in terms of going to your local community college, because you are very intelligent, you have a bright future. And so I pulled the HR person aside and I said, do you realize, John has a platinum level credential in WorkKeys. And she said, I would have never guessed that in a million years. He's young. We know he kind of dropped out of high school. He's quiet. He's working as an entry-level gluer. Honestly, would have never thought that about John. I'm like, well, now that you know, what are you going to do? They're like, well, we need to get him enrolled at our local community college. We need to invest in him in other training opportunities because he could really almost do anything in our plant. I go, absolutely. And so that's the power of WorkKeys from an individual win. And we see it in terms of probation and parole participants, high school students, adult education participants. I've worked with women at a safe house in terms of domestic violence, in terms of getting WorkKeys tested to really build confidence and competency as we help them get transitioned to the college and job training program. So there's a huge benefit for that individual building confidence and competency as they transition to job training programs, college programs, and employment opportunities. Certainly there's a win for schools and colleges. I mean, for us, it's been a huge benefit in terms of improving curriculum and instruction. It aligns student learning with educational programs and then also employer expectations. It helps us in terms of accreditation, and I think it could help high schools and other colleges as well. It's an excellent system for providing evidence of assessment-based learning, and it really helps our students pass those industry-recognized credentials. So through the AHA, NIMS, ASE, MSSC, which are all key to employers as well. Also, it's a win for employers, and we work with a lot of employers across the state of Missouri locally, and certain companies like LMC Industries and Kohler Craft in Jefferson County. I mean, they've built WorkKeys into their entire workforce development system, and I look at it from an athletic standpoint as we are helping employers develop a farm system of talent development. Much like the St. Louis Cardinals have a farm system, they pride themselves on being competitive because of that farm system. And I look at WorkKeys literally as an academic weight training program for any kind of sports team, which is your company, your workforce. You're only as good as your people and their strength. And think of any kind of athletic team or program without a weight training program. There's no way they're going to be competitive. So WorkKeys literally strengthens your greatest natural resource, which is your people, whether it be an educational institution, a manufacturing company, or a healthcare organization. It's a win for the community. Obviously, our community members are very proud of our Certified Work Ready initiative. We did part of our leadership team in Missouri as we came up with the logo, the branding of Work Ready Communities. That was exciting. So what I did is I just took the state branding and moved it to the local level. So I put our county image there, Jefferson County Work Ready. You can see on the right there, we have, it's a 4-page flyer that we hand out to employers explaining the whole Work Ready initiative. And that's part of that 5-minute walk into a business and explain WorkKeys. I hand them this and it says pretty much everything that you want to know about WorkKeys, and it really helps get those letters of support. And then also, I'm open to any kind of questions that you might have as well, as we conclude the presentation.
Wow. Again, I learned a lot, Brian, and I've been working with you for a long time, but you just taught me some other things I had not heard you talk about before, and really excited to see all of those employer logos on that one slide because in Missouri, if you visited our Work Ready Communities site, you'll see there are over 5,000 employers in Missouri have signed on as recognizing or preferring or recommending. But then you have those ones who are really putting teeth into it, like the ones there in Jefferson County and around the state that have either profiled or are really preferring strongly or requiring candidates to have that as part of their hiring and training program. So it's always good to see those specific employers doing that. If I can, do I have control again here? I am going to I'm going to skip over Nancy's slides because I haven't heard from her yet. I'm a little concerned. I should disclose that she's been ill, and I know she was tested for COVID. So I'm hopeful that that's not the case. She did tell me yesterday she's been very sick, but she was doing better, and she wanted to do this webinar. So, but I texted her, I emailed her, I tried calling her, and if nothing else, I will do her slides. But for now, I'd like to go ahead and jump in and let Debbie May talk about how her experience has been with WorkKeys and the NCRC. So Debbie, it's yours.
All right, well, thank you so much. Again, I'm Debbie May. I'm the former HR leader at Owens Corning in Joplin. Let's see if I can click these slides here. Okay, so if I can get this to work again. So in 2016, Owens Corning Insulation was building a new manufacturing facility in Joplin, and they needed to hire over 120 employees prior to starting up in their production process. So hiring began in the fall of 2016, and then production started up in May of 2017. But what we started doing is we developed our training curriculum for each job. And in doing that, we said, well, what skills do we want our employees to have in order to hire for those jobs that we need now and to develop them in the future? And we realized that people were not going to have mineral wool insulation experience, but so rather than experience, what skills do we want them to have? So the company had used WorkKeys or NCRC testing at one of their most recent facilities, or their newest facilities in North Carolina, and they had really great success in being able to find all the employees that they needed in order to start up their facility. And it gave them a benchmark of where employees were in each of the testing areas, as well as creating a development plan for employees in the future. And Joplin's production facility and production process was highly automated so that no individual touched the product that was being made there. So they weren't looking for just people who could lift a lot or anything. They were looking for critical thinkers, people who could handle making complex decisions, who could keep the process going. And so we said, well, let's partner with the Missouri Job Center in Joplin, and we did that, and we met with them multiple times, got our process down, and for our warehouse workers, our heavy equipment operators, and then our machine operators, we required every single person that we hired into those jobs to have the NCRC testing certification in order to be hired. So in order to do that, because we wanted to use the NCRC test scores as a selection tool for applicants, we had to have our jobs profiled first. And so we got our job descriptions created. We found a profiler, an ACT authorized job profiler, who went out and observed the position, observed the can't think of the word, sorry, what the employees were doing in that job, and then came up with a result of what the minimum score levels for in each of the modules must be for that particular job. And as the jobs became more complex, the test scores were at a higher rate for the minimum. And then if the applicants that we wanted to hire did not achieve the minimal testing score in each module, they were not able to be considered for hire. We did let them retake a module again after 30 days because some people get really nervous and they aren't really good at taking tests. But we did have only 2 or 3 that were not able to pass and not able to be hired. So the quality of people that we were interviewing and referring over to the job center was really high. And we were very pleased with the skill sets of those that were in the community to hire. So Owens Corning not only used the 3 modules for the NCRC testing, the reading, locating, and math skills, but they also added the 4th module on talent assessment called NCRC Plus. They wanted to have that talent assessment so they could see where the applicant measured their skills in work discipline, teamwork, customer service orientation, and management potential. And they were really interested in management potential because we were hiring for a whole plant, and obviously we wanted to develop our employees to move up into those management positions eventually. So each of those skills that were measured had subcategories that measured aptitudes in areas such as sociability, cooperation, organization, optimism, striving, influence, etc. And then the results came back, and there were percentages, and those individuals that scored low in, let's say, organization, we could use that as a development training tool to help them get their skill sets up in that. We could, engage them in training and exercises that would improve that. And we did that for sociability as well. We knew that people might just want to sit in the back and not speak up, and we kind of drew them out and made them lead projects and kind of got those skill sets up. So it was a really great tool to improve what the individuals needed improvement on, and we could help them with that. There was a small cost for adding the 4th module, but it was really a very minimal cost, and we felt it was really worth it to kind of know where the employees that we were hiring, where their skill sets were for hiring now and again in the future. So our testing process, after we had a successful interview with the applicant, we scheduled them for an NCRC testing appointment through the Missouri Job Center. And I have to say, Missouri Job Center in Joplin was very good and easy to work with. They helped us through the whole process because I honestly had just moved to Joplin and I'd never heard of NCRC, work keys, and all of that. And so they were really, really good at helping us navigate through that process. So once the individual had taken the test, the results were sent to Human Resources, where we were able to move forward with the hiring process if they met at least the minimum scores. If not, we sent them back to the Job Center to discuss what the options were. And in a lot of cases, they could retake the test after 30 days. I'm sorry, I can't, there we go. Okay, so the results were, it was really a win-win situation. We hired a lot of people. We actually ended up hiring over 160 people, way more than the 120 that we had planned on hiring. And we provided jobs for the community, and we felt the most qualified individuals in the area with the necessary skill sets that we needed. It also gave us a comprehensive understanding of each individual's skill level, based on their NCRC testing results. And the facility also received recognition by Owens Corning corporate executives for the mass amount of highly talented applicants hired using the NCRC testing process. They were very, very pleased with the quality of talent, the motivation, the energy that the employees had, and we really believe that the testing process provided us with those individuals. So really, that's kind of our process. It was, quick and and short and sweet, I guess. But so I wanted to know if anybody had any questions. I'd be happy to answer anything. I highly recommend it. We again had nothing but a good process, and Owens Corning continues to use the NCRC testing and hiring up to this day.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I got
Thank you.
It was just wonderful information. We really appreciate you giving us an overview of how you all used it there at Owens Corning. And I got to apologize. I'm going back and forth on 4 different texts between. Did anybody see me flip over in my chair a few minutes ago? That was that. I don't know how that happened, but I hope not too many people observed that. Yeah, my chair flipped backwards and I completely fell on the floor. But anyway, Nancy, is Nancy Wiley on yet? So Amy, you said you don't see her on the list. I emailed her. She said she's having trouble connecting.
I do not see her on the list, Sherry, but I emailed you another link if you want to send it to her.
I just did. So
Oh, thanks.
any minute she will jump on. Another link.
So I have a question for Debbie in talking about the work that she did at Owens Corning. That's quite a significant process. How long did it take you to get all of those people tested and start that process within the organization to get them hired?
That's a great question. Each of the individuals that needed tested required about 4 hours to allow for the testing with that that plus certification, that 4th module. Some individuals already had the NCRC, but nobody had the plus, so everybody really had to be tested. I would say the lengthiest process was getting the jobs profiled. If you don't profile them, we weren't allowed to use it as a selection tool, and that's something that Owens Corning, was very adamant about doing. So finding the time for that profiler to go to the site, observe, spend a whole day, writing the reports, etc. That was the lengthiest process. In the beginning, we had special days. The Job Center worked with us and had special days for testing. We had some evening testing and a Saturday testing, a couple of Saturday testing. So they were very, very cooperative since we had to hire so many people at once. Luckily for us, we did the jobs in increments. We had our operators we hired in November of 2016, and if I recall, there were about 40 of them. So they went through testing first, and then in January, February, we had the heavy equipment operators and the warehouse. So not all of them had to take the test at once because we weren't hiring all at the same time. And I think that really helped us out because if we had to hire them all, they only have a limited number of computers to use. So that would have really been an obstacle to overcome. But we worked it out, and the process really, by the time the individual got an appointment and got in there tested, was usually never more than a week to 2 weeks, depending on if it was a holiday week or something like that. Sometimes they could get in the very next day, just depended on how busy the job center was. But so once the jobs were profiled, it really did not take that long at all.
Okay, so when you were talking about the job center assisting and having the available computers, do the candidates go to the job center and take that test, or did you set that up on site?
No, we had them go to the job center and take the test. Only the person that we were working at the job center that was authorized to give the test, she had to be there to administer it. We weren't authorized to do that. So we had them go to the job center and take the test. And again, most of the time they could get in within a few days to a week.
Thanks, Debbie. This is a new process for those of us who are just learning, and so it's helpful for you to share how you worked with the Job Center and their accessibility to the testing.
Absolutely. It was when I was at Owens Corning, it was a great process. So highly recommend it.
Yeah, thank you again, Nancy, or Debbie, and Nancy.
Sure.
Is texting says she re-entered. So Nancy, are you on now? No. Maybe she's muted. Sorry guys, gotta love technology, don't you? Well, I tell you what, I will go ahead and run through some of her slides and see if she can jump on and get her technical difficulties fixed. But in the interest of time, I know a lot of this stuff will be, you know, Julie had her presentation and talked specifically about how State Technical College is working with Lincoln County in their offender reentry program. But they're doing a lot of other great things, much like Brian did at Jefferson College in their additional training programs through their MoStart grants and other grants right now in Missouri. One of the videos that she sent, and this is more of a graph on how the career pathways towards some of these MoStart programs of study and the charts that she's identified here. I know it's tiny print, but you'll be able to get this slide whenever we share. But I do want to go ahead and see if this will play. This is a video that was done in conjunction with Algoa. We don't have.
Like I said, unfortunately, I've been in before. I've never, ever had a chance for something like this. And it's like when I go into that classroom, I'm not inmate 310326. I'm Shane Stroop, a State Tech student.
We teach computer classes, electronics, motor controls, robotics, and industrial maintenance inside of correctional facilities as well as outside. We have all the
Oh,
Here's more of our technical trouble.
hey, wait a minute. Is Nancy just texted and said, can you hear me now? Nancy, can we hear you? Try talking. Because I know they'd rather hear from you than me.
so we bring it into the facility like
Did we get her?
Well, she texted and said, can you hear me now? I'm not real sure, but I'm not sure why the video won't play either. It was.
It's playing. I'm sorry. When I tried to look in the list to see if she was up, if I was having trouble,
on,
it stopped.
wheel it into a
Okay.
I'll get it started again.
Okay. Bear with us, folks.
So we bring it into the facility like we are today. We pull the card off for HVAC, for robotics, for whichever module we're currently working on, wheel it into a facility. At the end of the several classes that we're doing, wheel it back on and take it to another location.
They're getting just as good education in this classroom here at Algoa as they would be at State Tech. So upon their release, they will be able to take that to the employer and say, yes, I was incarcerated, but this is what I did while I was incarcerated, you know, and I've earned this certificate and this certificate and this certificate and this certificate, and that's why I deserve the job.
I mean, they're going to look at that and say, oh, this ain't just some little online class they took. This is a legit class. This guy's for real.
That could be a job. That could be a career. That could be a nice house, nice car, and no prison.
Previous administration and current has worked very hard to get technology in correctional facilities.
The partnership with State Tech and the Department of Corrections continues to just blossom. It continues just to get bigger and better.
this is my main focus, is this career that I've been given pretty much. I feel like I've been given a career.
Yeah, I'm excited for once. I'm cautious, but I'm excited because it's like, wow, I'm gonna have a whole new life, all because of this class.
All right. See if I have control again here. Nancy, I unmute.
Yes, Sherry. You did, oh, I'm so glad I said it. Can you all hear me now?
I hear you. Finally.
Oh, mercy. Answered prayer. To whoever is listening, I truly apologize. I was looking forward to this so much ever since Sherry invited me, and I don't know what happened. I just don't. I'm not going to lie. But
Well,
I've heard you all, so that's the most important part.
well, we always have technical difficulties. Zoom is just like that, and Skype's even worse. But we have it too. So if you can, are you viewing, Nancy, or you just called in?
I viewed, I saw my video playing
Okay.
and viewed something before, but then it kind of got weird, so I'm not sure what happened.
Well, that's
So,
okay. If
I
we're all-
apologize
think
to
we're all
y'all and
good
losing
now.
my voice.
I think we're all good
Pardon
now.
me?
So I went ahead and just started, played your video, and then
I'm
we'll
glad.
take it from here. You should be able to control the screen and flip through these slides yourself.
I don't know if I can or not because I am really having some difficulties
Okay.
here. I'm just
Then I'll-
saying.
I'll maneuver it. How's that? I'll be your slideshow,
Bless you.
your Vanna White here,
Mhm.
and then you just speak. So we did your video. Everyone, this is Nancy Wiley. She's the grant manager for State Technical College, and one of our, like Brian, I call on quite consistently for talking best practices and giving their story. We've worked together for a number of years as well, and so we're excited to hear what she has to offer from State Technical College. And, Nancy, I don't know if you were on earlier, but Julie provided an overview of Lincoln County and,
Yes.
and how you're working with them. So you'll just expand on that, I'm sure. So
I apologize to the group, how many of y'all there are, but I'm losing my voice. You would think, I was a 13-year-old boy, but I'm trying my best to speak as best I can, but bear with me. But I just want to say before all of this starts, we are thrilled to work with ACT. It has been the foundation of our tech grants and also our tech hire grants. We've taught inside the prisons. We deal with unemployed, underemployed, low-skilled individuals. And just for some of these friends that can get their NCRC, I mean, that's more than they've ever achieved in their life. Okay? So, I mean, it's a very big deal. And I am proud to say I've got a grant office of 4 people, me included. So it's not like, there's 20 of us. But over the past 7 years, we have NCRC'd ourselves over 2,500 people. And I think at the end, when I cut off, I heard somebody say about, how they go through the job center and this and that. And I'm not trying to be bossy or anything, but I just want to say that you might want to consider doing it yourself. And that's what I did. That's what we did. Because when our job center is wonderful. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I am trying to say is they NCRC tested like on Wednesday afternoon. So I stand outside. I'm like, how am I going to get all these people through? So we figured out our own proctors, and we went in and did it ourselves with the help of Sherry and others. And it has proven to be, in my little world, a best practice, because we could have never gotten this amount of people through a job center. Not to knock them, but just saying that we had to take, the bull by the horns and do it ourselves. And it's not that difficult. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry. So you know, it's kind of fun to be able to say, you know, I'll test this group of 25 or less on Wednesday evening, you know, or in the prison. I mean, we've done it on the weekends, we've done it at night, we've done it here, there. And that's how we've gotten this kind of numbers. So just saying, you know, you can be your own proctor. And it's proven well for us.
And I'm not sure, Nancy, I'm running through these slides, but you'll have to prompt me on when to change them. So can you?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, are you on the flow chart? Like the second one?
Are you viewing them?
Pardon me?
Are you able to see them?
No.
Oh. Well,
Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. But I mean, I can just talk away, you know. And then if you want to send them the slides, we'll do it. Is that okay with you, Sherry?
well, I'm just on the Zoom presentation here. I have your slides up. So we
Oh,
talked
good.
about,
Okay.
talked about what you've been doing, and your some of your slides are discussing your maintenance technician program and what courses the maintenance fundamentals for. And that's where I'm on.
Okay. Have you already gone through the ones that show the justice involved individuals in the prison?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Those are my favorites. You know, to see those people, not I see where you are. Not like they're any different than anyone, because I don't feel like they are. We all make mistakes. But to go in a correctional center and do that, unless y'all have been to prison, which, honest, I never thought I'd want to go to prison, but I do. And when you get in there and you see these people, men and women, achieve something that you know, people have told them they couldn't ever achieve their whole life. I mean, it is beyond moving for the grant, for ACT, but most importantly for them. So, you know, I guess I'm being dramatic, but it's a pretty big deal. So we have a maintenance technician program that's funded by Department of Labor. It's about to come to an end, but the good news is that we got a new one. The state of Missouri got $15 million for an apprenticeship grant. State Tech, my college, will receive about 1.3 of that, which I'm kind of bummed. I think we should have gotten half, but whatever. So we will use that to scale and sustain this grant that we're working on now. They receive the EPA 608, and first they receive the NCRC, and they have to have a silver on that or they can't go forward. We have not had a lot of people that have not passed that, but if they don't pass, we use Career Ready 101, right, Sherry, which is the ACT device, but we've also kind of made up our own of different, like me. I took the NCRC. I did great on reading. I'm like, you know, this is a piece of cake. But I took math. I mean, I'm 58 years old. You know, I didn't do so lot. So we've come up with our own kind of tutorials of the 3 different, you know, math, reading, whatever it's called now, locating information. And being able to tutor these people, including me, on the pieces that they were weak in. And then we could go back and retest them. And that's also proven to be very beneficial to our participants, because a lot of our grant participants are, you know, they're like 30 and older. So they're like me, you know, they haven't done some of these things for a while. So it's not necessarily that they can't do it. It's just they haven't done it, right? So you have to remember to, you know, how to divide fractions. You know, you got to turn it upside down. I mean, I didn't remember that. So with really very little tutoring, we're able to get these people through. And I think, again, not to knock the job centers because they're wonderful.
Oops.
Pardon me?
Nope, that was my bad. Sorry. I've kind of lost where you're at, but I got to the end
Oh,
of
I'm just rambling.
Keep going.
But I think it's really important to know because nobody told me that, you know, nobody told me that. And I just did it. And I thought if this is wrong, somebody will scold me. So I think the fact that you can take control of your own situation, and ACT, I don't mean to speak for them, but they have been beyond supportive of our different focus on the ACT and on the NCRC and have really helped us do things a little bit differently, but yet still in the parameters of the rules, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that's something that I feel like I want to share with people that may not know that, because I didn't know it when I started all of this, and it's a game changer. A game changer. So we, our grant purchased, the Most Start grant, we got almost $3 million from Department of Labor. And I think I'm on the advanced maintenance technician slide, but we bought, gosh, I'm so sorry about my voice, you guys. I'm so embarrassed. But the advanced maintenance.
You said you'd been sick, and that's why I wondered if you were even going to be able to do this. God love you.
Well, bless you for saying that, because I'm really embarrassed. I really am. Honest, you guys, I have a pretty voice, but not today.
It just shows how dedicated you really are.
Well, I think you are being very nice to me, and I appreciate it. But the grant bought almost $1 million worth of equipment, which included a 60-foot mobile learning center that we take across the state of Missouri. So we don't have to have participants or students come to us. You know, we can go to them, which has proven to be very beneficial because, I mean, if you don't have a car, you know, you don't have gas, you can't drive to school, right? So we have a lot of employer partners, and they fill our classes, and we take our mobile learning center to them. So I think just like what I'm trying to say about the NCRC, it also applies to our grant mission of, you know, reaching out to the public in a little bit different way, because I just feel like a lot of people were overlooked, not because they wanted to be, and that's no fair. So for us to be able to go to them, I mean, we have taught in 5 different correctional centers. We have taught at job centers, 3 across the state. You know, we've taught in church basements. I'm not kidding. You know, lots of different places. And but the NCRC is the foundation, and it will continue to be with these new grants that we have. So I'm really proud, you know, to be able to partner with Sherry and her team, because they are beyond reachable. You know, I think if I called Sherry at midnight, she'd answer. And I mean, you know, it's hard when you're trying to do something that's a little out of the box. But that's what we've done. And I mean, frankly, I'm really proud of it. So I think we've reached some people that would have never been able to further themselves with this kind of out of the box method. So we'll see how the next couple of grants go, but so far this one's gone pretty well, and the ones have before. You know, we strive to also get, gosh, I'm sorry, you guys. We strive to also get our participants other credentials, the EPA 608, which is an HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, you know, the different kind of technical credentials. But I'm repeating myself. But again, the NCRC is a foundation. And a lot of our people, honest, that's all they do. that's a big deal for them. And it gets them jobs. It really does, because it shows, especially my friends that have been incarcerated, you know, that they haven't just been shooting hoops in the yard, you know, while they've been incarcerated. I mean, they have been trying to better themselves. And that story says a lot to potential employers. And I don't know, I don't have the number in front of me, I apologize, but probably half of that 2015 or whatever, they have been incarcerated. And we have gone into the prisons and given the work keys test inside. We have a new grant that we haven't started yet because of this goofy virus, but we'll do the same thing there. So for those 500 people, we'll go in the correctional centers, give them this exam. If they don't pass it, we'll tutor them and try again. They can again. But for them to come out of prison with the NCRC, beautiful. And it again, I'm repeating myself, but you know, it's a life changer for a lot of people that haven't had the luxuries that I've had. You know what I mean? So
it's a good segue into playing your testimonial that you included in your presentation here. So I will go ahead, Nancy, since I'm controlling, and I'll play this testimonial that you have as your.
Good. I'm glad of the girl that works at Colton's.
We finally got it to.
I know. I'm sorry. We have been a pain in your side.
No, you haven't. I'm going to play it here. See if it'll play.
But I'm anxious for y'all to see this because it's good.
Today, 2 years ago, I wouldn't probably be here. I ran from problems. I ran from goals. I ran from I ran from my family. I ran from things that could benefit my life. Yeah, I was studying for the NCRC test with State Tech, and it was actually a little bit difficult for me because I wasn't really. I've never really been a test taker in high school or anything like that. So, I mean, I really had to be an excellent note taker and study and study and study. And I did end up passing it. Okay, if I were able to talk to the people that made this grant possible, I would thank them and just tell them that they can change lives and make people feel like they're worth something.
Yeah, that's a really good video that you included. And I know you have others too that you shared on other presentations, but in the interest of your voice, and I know you're not feeling good, and thank you, Nancy, thank you so much for joining even though you weren't feeling good.
Are you kidding me? I'd join you if I was on my deathbed, but I just feel terrible that we've had IT problems, so I'm sorry.
It happens, but really appreciate you being on as with everyone else. And I think right now we have 15 minutes left. If there's anything additional, anyone else would like to add, have questions. Jason, you just did another, I'm going to call on you too, because you just did another webinar prior to this one on the resiliency. And I know you had a lot of economic and workforce development attendance on that webinar. I noticed when I was joining at first, there was a good amount of folks from economic development and workforce on there. Anything you can provide on feedback from that, or Brian, Debbie, Julie, anybody else have anything additional to add?
Hey, go ahead, Julie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was unmuted. That's why I wasn't ready yet. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to reiterate how important Nancy Wiley and State Tech and that whole team was to what we're doing in Lincoln County. That was absolutely, that work keys, her coming in was kind of the linchpin to everything we're doing now. We had no idea what we needed to do. So that was just, that's got us started. And Nancy's right, talking about doing the testing and stuff, it's not always an option to go down to the work center. So last year, my office, at the permission of the commissioners, we purchased 20 Chromebooks that are in my possession that we now can take into the jail, probation, parole office, wherever, and remotely take those tests. So It's just, it is the foundation, like Nancy said, it's the foundation for everything we're doing now. And our employers are thrilled to have this and have those certificates in hand. So it's just, it's a win-win all the way around.
Very
Good
good.
stuff. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought Julie did a great job. Of course, Nancy, your stuff is fantastic. Your record speaks for itself, really. Even though you're unable to speak as well today as you would like to, your track record definitely speaks volumes into the success of that project. And certainly to follow up with Debbie as well, really appreciate that opportunity to work with Owens Corning and Joplin and Brian Herrick's stuff. I mean, we learned a lot from Brian. I mean, we were, doing work keys in the trenches well before 2010 in some respects. And it takes some trailblazers. So Brian pulled it up for the east side of Missouri, and we pulled it up for the west side of the state, and we made it happen. Yeah, Sherry mentioned I just finished presenting to a group of 300 across the country through ACT, of course, through these electronic means nowadays. And probably what I think I could share that would be helpful for this group is a quick clip from Eric Canada, from Eric Blaine Canada Limited. Some of you may know him as a foremost expert in the realm of business retention and expansion. And the reason we touch base with him, as a lot of our regions are preparing these economic recovery efforts, it is super important to replicate that business retention data collection function right up front. So here's a little bit of what Eric had to share in our webinar just now.
What we've seen not only in COVID-19, but in previous cases is all of a sudden you jump into the play of helping. As a result, you've got no basis for who you're helping or why, again, you should have priorities within how you allocate your help resources. If you're using national data or state data, it gives you a general feel perhaps. If you don't first know your local companies, then you're not going to have the ability to prioritize appropriately.
So that's super important. I mean, that data we can't emphasize enough as you're preparing those grant proposals and resource proposals for how you might, change up what you're doing locally. That data collection function is just really important. Sherry, would you guys like to hear about Ohio's Make Your Layoff Payoff initiative? I've got a clip on that one too, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we have time, right, Amy? We've got 10 minutes left. I think if the group wants to hear that, any information.
Okay. So this is Mike Longo. He's in Lorain County, Ohio, which is in the northern part of the state.
In Lorain County at that time, there was a partnership created between our local community college and our joint vocational school, Career Technical Education Center. It was named Make Your Layoff Payoff, and it was basically a very strong push towards having people who were impacted consider short-term certificate programs or associate degree programs to use the time of their layoff to try to better prepare for when things were going to improve. The other thing that came with the Make Your Layoff Payoff initiative was that we created access points that were established both at the community college and at the Career Technical Education Center, where staff from those partners were cross-trained basically on how to help assist with determining eligibility, completion of the required paperwork, collection of source documentation, support eligibility, and basically it allowed students to access our services right at those campuses versus actually having to come to the American Job Center. It was definitely a great partnership in trying to help the folks during that time.
So we'll have Mike and Eric and several others on our next episode of the Ready for Work podcast, which I put the link in there in the chat for everyone to have a listen. When we did that webinar recently here for the MU series on the ALITA framework, Adapt, Lead, Engage, Deploy, and Analyze, we actually made episode 21 of the podcast. That is now online and can give you a full summary of that. And then 22, of course, we'll have Eric and Mike and some others coming up. So great job, everyone else. I really enjoyed those presentations. It makes me proud to be Missourian.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry and Jason and all of our guest speakers. It has been a pleasure to have you today. I've enjoyed hearing the personal stories, but also the unique ways that Work Ready Communities is being implemented across the state. and that should give us a lot of encouragement moving forward. I did have several personal messages throughout the presentation. People are interested in receiving the handouts and the recording, so I'll make sure that I get that done. It does take me a bit to upload it to YouTube and then get the link for you after I receive the link from Zoom, but I'll get that done. And when I send out the mailing, I'll be sure to include the links that Sherry and Jason have shared, as well as the 2 previous presentations that Sherry and Jason did for us. And as far as the University of Missouri, we of course look forward to working with the group on a much larger project across the state. And we'll be working on that. This is our final session of the Workforce Rally. Our next webinar series will start May 28th, and it's the Workforce Transitions Rally. And we'll be talking about how we help businesses transition their employees back to work with strategic communications, concerns for mental health. And on June 2nd, we have a really fun session coming up on COVID-19 for pets and livestock. If you are a Facebook fan, you've seen people concerned about their cats getting COVID, or people saying that, posting that we've been in, what is the word I'm looking for? Immunizing cattle for coronavirus for the past decade. And so what does all of that really mean for us? And what is the science behind that? We have a small vet from the University of Missouri, a small animal vet, not a small vet, she's not a small vet, a small animal vet from the University of Missouri, and a large animal vet on June 2nd that will be joining us to talk about our care and concern for pets and livestock as we all return to work and reopen the economy. So we do have a few minutes, and if there are questions from the group, we would invite you now to either use chat or we can open your mics.
I just want to say real quickly that if you haven't looked at our workreadycommunities.org website in the last day, just yesterday it got a fresh look. We had some color changes, things, changed up a little bit. So I like it. Hopefully everyone else will, but take a look at the website and look at its new face if you haven't done so.
We will sure do that, Sherry. And I don't see any questions coming in, so we will go ahead and conclude for today. Thank you to all of our speakers, and I will be following up shortly with the recordings and the PowerPoint presentations for all 3 sessions. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank
Good
you.
day, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.